welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. The Caribbean Examinations Council's CXC math script was reportedly leaked hours before students here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the region were scheduled to sit the exam today. Here in SVG, the Searchlight newspaper broke the news this afternoon, stating that it has confirmed that photographs of the pages of the CXC Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate CSEC Mathematics Paper 2 were shared in a chat app the night before the exam and were seen by some students at least two secondary schools. The Searchlight quoted a source as saying some of them saw it on Tuesday night, others on a Wednesday just before the exam. According to the Searchlight, the source also said that according to students who wrote the exam, the questions that were circulated prior to the exam were the same questions the students were required to answer in Wednesday's exam. The Searchlight said St. Vincent and the Grenadines Ministry of Education source also confirmed to the newspaper that they had received reports of the leak. The Searchlight, however, said none of the Ministry of Education officials it had spoken to were willing to say what steps will be taken. Meanwhile, the nationwide radio in Jamaica also spoke of the startling leak of the math paper in Jamaica. A news article from the radio station said, speaking anonymously to the instructor at the Kingston-based school, said that he and his colleagues received exam papers pre-drawn and describes the incident as highly irregular and a clear breach of CXC protocol. Nationwide radio said students from the school in Jamaica allegedly received the math paper from colleagues in Guyana via messaging app WhatsApp as early as 7 a.m. on exam day, which was today. The radio station also said that several learners confirmed the exam script they received at dawn was indeed the paper administered during the official examination today, which it further corroborated with the instructor's initial claim. CXC released a statement this afternoon stating that it is aware of the concerns that the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC Math Paper 2, which was written today, Wednesday, May 17th, was leaked. The Caribbean Examinations Council said the matter is of great concern to them and they have commenced investigations and will make a definitive statement once the investigation is completed. Meantime, candidates, the council say, can rest assured that the matter is being treated with the highest urgency. Exam leaks have long been a recurring issue for the CXC. In 2008, a Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Exam CAPE leak in Trinidad and Tobago led to the cancellation of all other CAPE exams. That same year, 2 Trinidadians were charged for leaking exam papers. Fast forward to 2011, there were reports of a CXC exam paper leak in St. Lucia, but CXC refuted the claims. There were similar concerns in 2017 following rumors that a CXC math paper had leaked online. The Windsor Primary School copped the first place position for the second year in the finals of the Ministry of Education Higher Education Primary School Mathematics competition held today. The school, represented by Jivron Robinson, scored 63 points to take the top position. The second place was Fairhall Government and third, Spring Village Methodist. 10 primary schools competed in the final, with each finalist receiving a trophy and a token from Higher Education. The other schools in the final were the Bel-Air Government, Kingstown Prep, Richland Park Government, the Leeward District Seventh-day Adventist Primary, Lomans Leeward Anglican, South Rivers Methodist, and Lower Bay Inc. Giving an overview of the mathematics competition this year was Education Officer Joel Patterson, who noted that 56 schools took part in the preliminary stage of the competition, which was an improvement over last year.
We're going to encourage other schools as well next year to continue taking part to improve the number of schools taking part in the competition. On average, we had about 35 out of 50 being scored for the two papers combined together for the preliminaries, which is excellent in my opinion and in our opinion, because we felt the students did a wonderful job with these preliminary questions. So give yourself a round of applause. If you have made it to the finals, it means that you would have done extremely well. So for the finals, we will be having 3 sections. Okay, students, so listen up carefully. The first section will be the short answer section. You have in front of you a whiteboard and you have a marker. You also have a folder with paper, you have a pencil, and you have a ruler. So when the questions are presented on the screen, you have exactly 45 seconds to answer the question.
Senior Education Officer Aldia Gums, who also addressed the prize-giving ceremony, and said in order for persons to be good at maths, they must practice.
We are told that to be a good math student, one must practice and then practice some more. And students, I am sure that that's what you did, because today we see that you have been demonstrating that spirit of excellence. Students, you have shown what you are capable of, and I trust that you brought this spirit of excellence with you today and that you are going to spread it like wildfire. I say this because oftentimes when we hear students speak, and I am talking about children who are students and adults who are students, they tremble with fear when the word math is mentioned. So, as a student myself who struggled with math, I asked the question, why is this so? Is it that some people were born to understand math, while others were born to struggle? I dare say, I think not. I therefore challenge us all to change the mindset that math is hard, to change the attitudes that math is challenging, and to put in its place a spirit of excellence.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Meteorological Service is endorsing the predictions of the Colorado State University that the 2023 hurricane season, which runs from June 1st to November 30th, will be slightly below average. Meteorological forecaster Gregory Cato gave an overview of the upcoming wet sore hurricane season in a telephone interview with SVG-TV News.
And for 2023, the Colorado State University, they're predicting a slightly below average Atlantic hurricane season. So they are expecting 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 2 of them would be, well, major hurricanes. That's what's anticipated. Okay, and they cite the likely of the El Nino to be the primary factor, as in the reason behind we're expecting a slightly below average Atlantic hurricane season.
Noting that the average hurricane season produces 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes, Cato is urging members of the public not to lower their guard despite the prediction for this season to be slightly below average.
We've been seeing something different from what the data set that we used before would have had. Between 1981 to 2010, we would have seen 12 named storms. Now we are looking at a new data set, 1991 to 2020, and that's now suggesting that we can have 14 named storms. The previous data set suggested 6 hurricanes. This one is now suggesting 7, with 3. The only thing that stands out that remains the same between the previous data set and now is that we're expecting 3 major hurricanes. So I would say we should still not let our guards down, even though they're suggesting it would be a slightly below average season. Yes, El Nino is the primary factor behind it, but we are seeing within the next few months to come that we can have some increase in, they're suggesting that we can have some increase in sea surface temperatures, and these are one of the key factors behind the storm tropical cyclone formation. So even though we're expecting a slightly below average season, we still do get impacts from systems that are lesser developed and so forth. So we still have to be mindful.
The meteorological forecaster also advised the public to put things in place early for the upcoming season.
Tune to the local radio stations, keep a battery operated radio, ensure that you have enough food supplies, stay in tune as well to the Met services. You can contact us 458-4477 or just take a look at our website, our 72 Outlook products, www.meteor.gov.vc, and just ensure that you stay in tune because it's just around the corner. Previous hurricane season last year that called for 14 named storms and 6 to 10 major hurricanes and 3 to 5. In fact, we actually had 14 named storms, so it actually met that what was anticipated. They had 8 hurricanes, and what was expected was between 6 to 10. And they had 2 major hurricanes last year. They expected between 3 to 5. So pretty much whatever outlook that they had initially, it actually met what was actually what the analysis initially, or what was proposed. So hence, again, the reason why, although we're saying there'll be a below average season per se, it still can be affected by lesser developed systems and so forth. So we still have to keep our guards, Don't keep our guards down, I would say.
Meanwhile, the dry condition over the last few months has badly affected 3 water sources of the Central Water and Sewage Authority. These include the Majorca, Dalloway, and Montreal water sources. Speaking on the API's Morning SVG program today, Public Relations and Marketing Manager of the CWSA, Joan Ryan, said due to the impact of these water sources, they have resorted to water rationing in several communities.
Which is why you found that there were so many communities on the interior of the island from time to time that have been out of water. The Montreal source, which is the source that usually goes the first during the dry spell, went, and we are talking about maybe about 20-something communities that are affected by this supply. And then you have the Majorca source, which went as well. And then we had to ration there. But mainly what we try to do at CWSA is to ensure that at some time during the 24-hour period that our customers receive water. And we ration at night because it's the time when most persons are sleeping. So during the day you would have your water. But the supply at Montreal depleted so badly that we have also had to ration some areas both night and day. So we continue to.
Ryan said the CWSA continues to monitor all water sources across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, noting that more dry spells are expected over the next few months.
We've seen about a third of our country, and that's from the Beaumont up to Caliaport area. That field is supplemented from a source we have at transport, so it's not so bad. But the Dalloway system itself, has started showing some signs of lessening. The amount of water that comes into the source is lessening at this time. But our field staff continue to closely monitor all of our systems so that we are prepared for whatever can happen. June would be a bit warmer than normal. We are going to be experiencing some dry spells perhaps up until September. So it's really about the severity. This is a one day at a time kind of thing. We will continue to monitor that news report from the Caribbean weather and to determine the severity of the problem that can arise here in the Grenadines.
The CWSA's Public Relations and Marketing Manager is further urging members of the public, especially residents in the areas connected to the 3 affected water sources, to be mindful of the use of water at this time.
We would ask that you do not use hose when you're washing down. Use buckets for for those of you who, when you go around, you see, continue to call the CWSA and inform us where these routes are so that we can do our best. We also want to advise persons to monitor their homes and see if there is any leak around your home as well, because that is important for us and for you at this time. And the important thing also is storage. For years, we have been advising customers to store water. Now, I understand that we receive the water consistently through our tap. And so there's a feeling of complacency that, water would always be there. But this is the dry season. There are 2 seasons here. It's either dry or it's either very wet. And for either of those reasons, it is important that you have containers at home where you can store water. If there's no rain, you cannot have water. So we are advising persons to be very mindful at this time. And even as we will be going through the hurricane season, like I indicated a little bit earlier, the beginning of that hurricane season may not be as wet as we expect.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines has successfully completed its 4th Trade Policy Review TPR as part of the country's obligations as a member of the World Trade Organization WTO in Geneva on May 3rd and May 5th, 2023. According to a news release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the main purpose of the Trade Policy Review mechanism is to improve adherence by all WTO members to the rules, disciplines, and commitments made under the multilateral trade agreements and were applicable to the particularly agreements. The release said SVG's 4th TPR focused on the macroeconomic and trade performances, trade and investment partners, trade policy initiatives, and trading arrangements. SVG's delegation was headed by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Kisa Peters and included Director of the Foreign Trade Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Okalo John Patrick and Trade Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Nicolette Dalton. Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Savs claims the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, has ramped up its campaign from what he terms as lawfare to warfare. On NBC Radio today, Prime Minister Gansavs noted that the recent evidence of this was articulated by the opposition leader in his call at the NPP's rally in Georgetown for public service unions in the country to join the NDP to bring down the ULP government. Noting that the call by the NDP leader is a policy issue, PM Gansavs pointed out that the NDP's campaign to remove the ULP government from office started after the 2015 election, when the party, in what he called a spurious claim in the court that the election was stolen, with 2 petitions which were dismissed.
Bring down me overthrow, you know. Not vote out. Johnny P.
Listening.
Bring down.
Yes.
You notice the verb? But the civil servants and the teachers and the police, overwhelmingly, they know that this is a government which has worked for them and with them. And there's progress in each area of that public service, the police, the civil servants, the teachers, and in education, and so on and so on and so forth. But what it tells you of the desperation of the NDP, they have moved from lawfare to warfare. I want to repeat that. From lawfare to warfare. This is a policy question. For 3 years and something, 2016, 17, 18, and up to April 2019, and continued it up to 2020. for the elections for 4 years and a half, nearly 5 years. They engage in what I call lawfare. Spurious legal claims. That's what lawfare is, you know. With no basis whatsoever.
Prime Minister Gensov said if the NDP wants to bring down the ULP, they will have to meet him on election day, which is constitutionally due in 2025. The Prime Minister also pointed out to the progress that the country has made over the years, noting that there are more economic activity taking place now than at any time since independence.
All things, wages are up significantly, wealth has increased, the housing, the health, the education revolution, the physical infrastructure of all kinds, sports and culture, the dignity of the country. Johnny P. our sovereignty and independence protected as never before. Huh?
Yeah.
No. Doesn't mean that we don't have challenges.
Yes.
That we don't have problems. And amidst satisfactions, there's also dissatisfaction. Johnny P., right where you are there, you're satisfied with many things, but you're dissatisfied with some others. Eh?
Yes, it's human, yes.
Eh?
There's always room for improvement, Prime Minister. Yes.
But that's the point. The only place we ain't going to have any dissatisfaction is when we all go to Beulah land. When we leave the earthly city and go to the heavenly one.
Heavenly shore, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
No. Johnny P., there is no mason, carpenter, tileman, electrician, plumber, general construction worker who wants work and can't get work. In fact, the massive construction boom which is going on in the country now and will be going on for the next several years, because, you know, I told you that on the big projects alone, you have over 3.5 billion Eastern Caribbean dollars in projects.
Yes.
Between now and March 2026, which would be the outline date for the calling of the next general election.
Meanwhile, at the NDP's rally in Georgetown last Saturday night, the leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, told the gathering that there is a political solution to the problem facing the public servants who were affected by the government's vaccination mandate, noting that an NDP government will ensure that they get back their jobs with all the benefits intact.
The government has said that they will appeal the decision of the court, and if they lose again, they're going to appeal further up to the Privy Council. But right now, there is a political solution to the problem, because an NDP party in government will end the problem. So, I want to call, therefore, this is not a time for mincing words. This is a time to stand up. I've been saying it recently. When they say you're standing up, sometimes it means physically standing up, putting yourself on the line. So I want to call the public service unions. I want to call the teachers union. I want to call the Police Welfare Association, and not just the leadership of those organizations, but the members as well, to acknowledge that there is a political solution, and to join with the New Democratic Party in bringing this wicked government down. We have to join together. We cannot do it alone, because that is how he wishes for us to conduct ourselves, divided so that we can be picked apart. Come together. We say embrace the offer. Make the New Democratic Party this vehicle of change for all of us, and the change will come that we so badly need.
Get up, stand up.
Public servants, I want to say to you, do not be afraid for your job. Do not let them frighten you into thinking that the NDP is going to take your job. Your job is safe under a New Democratic Party government. It doesn't matter to me how you get your job. What matters is how you do your job. And so long as you're doing your job, you have nothing to fear from anyone.
Dr. Friday also told the young people in the audience that they have the power to change things in the country.
Believe that. You have the power to change things in this country. When you are motivated and when you decide to move together, united, you are an unstoppable force for change that no one can ignore. I believe that that time has come. I met a young man the other day in Kingstown. We spoke briefly, and I listened to him very carefully. At the end of our talk, he turned to go, and he said to me, he said, "Friday, let me make a change." And I reflected on that because he didn't say, "Friday, all you need to change things." He didn't say, "Friday, the country needs to change." He said, "Let we make a change." He has included himself in saying, "I am going to be that agent of change." It is for that reason that I have hope. And I believe that you as young people will realize your power and you will come together and bring about the change. Nice time is not the only time. Sometimes we have to stand up and fight for what we believe in. And the reason why I say I call on the unions and the young people is because the New Democratic Party, I want you to look at it as a vehicle to bring all of your differences, all of the disappointments about the government, all of the things that you see in this country that are going wrong and you want to do something about. We are the only force, the only vehicle now present in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that can deliver that. But we need you to help us to do it.
And Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Salms was expected to leave the state today for Miami and Jamaica to attend the opening of a Sandals hotel, which he said is on radio today will also be attended by a number of senior airline executives.
So that apart from showing solidarity with our investors, it's an opportunity for us to do some work at a very high level in relation to airlines for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I know American is going to be there, and Air Canada, I believe JetBlue, there may be others. And I'm asking Glenn Beast to join me,
Okay.
And Camilo is in Chile, coming up and join us also, because he went there to co-chair a finance ministers meeting of CELAC, the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean. You probably saw releases coming out from that event.
Yes.
Let me just say this. When we took the decision to put our name, our hat in the ring, so to speak, to be the president pro tempore of CELAC for 2023, persons say, "Oh, it's going to cost you so much, you have to host so many people and so on, so many meetings." Well, we ran our campaign for the pro tempore presidency on the basis that we will make our presidency of CELAC collegiate and inclusive, which means, among other things, that other countries will host meetings along with us now.
Prime Minister Gansov said hopefully SVG will host a heads meeting of the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean States CELAC sometime early next year to hand over the pro tempore presidency to the next country. SVG assumed the pro tempore presidency of CELAC on January 30th at a meeting in Argentina. PM Gansov said a lot of the benefits are coming to SVG through CELAC.
Yesterday, I had through all these contacts yesterday, I had a meeting in the afternoon at 5 o'clock with the leadership of the St. Vincent and Grenadines Football Federation.
Okay.
Where we are trying to source a coach and probably an assistant out of Argentina. Gustavo, who is the national coordinator for Argentina, for CELAC, who came to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be with us for a while at the office of the pro tempore presidency secretariat, which is up in French's, which Dr. Douglas Slater is heading. That I have made the contact with Carl Dixon and him now. I spoke to him, and so we pushing the thing forward to see how through a number of through the football federation there in Argentina, which Gustavo is working with, and through the CONCACAF Caribbean Football Football Union, which Carl would work with, and I would also do some work with the authorities in Argentina further to see how we can pull that out. That's just one example. Which just happened, yesterday evening, for instance.
Right.
We had that number of things which are feeding in. All of these meetings are feeding into the discussion for the summit between CELAC, 33 states and 650 million people, and the 27 states of the European Union with 600 million people. Imagine St. Vincent and Grenadines is in the lead speaking on behalf of countries like Brazil and Argentina and Mexico and so on and so forth. Brazil is 210 million people.
Yes.
Sixth or seventh largest economy in the world. It's the way when you show by the quality of your leadership that your country becomes respected.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Public Service Union is condemning the recent spike in shooting deaths, other serious crimes and acts of violence, which it said have been plaguing the nation since the beginning of the year. In a statement issued today, the PSU said it is alarmed by the epidemic of crime and violence in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, noting that in just 5 months, illegal guns and organized criminal gangs have raised the threat to the country's security, peace, and stability within society. The union said the nation needs to strengthen its security forces by making alliances with different community-based groups and NGOs, and that there is an urgent need to reverse what seems to be the normalization of violence in society interactions, noting that it is time for us as a people to restore the bonds of social solidarity within our communities. The union said it acknowledges that there is a great need to address crime and violence from a non-traditional approach by moving away from the traditional approach, which focuses on retribution and imprisonment, towards one which gears on building partnerships, fostering trust, and restoring open communication. It said better security interventions can be made by assessing the mental health of the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, identifying the underlying factors, finding preventative and corrective measures before making the necessary intercessions. The union ended its statement by saying it anticipates a collective approach among all stakeholders within society, embracing the common goal of restoring peace, justice, and security within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Diabetes and Hypertension Association and the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment today joined the global community in observing World Hypertension Day under the theme, Measure Your Blood Pressure Accurately, Control It, Live Longer. One of the activities held today to commemorate this day was an educational session and screening for hypertension at the Old Treasury Car Park. In an interview with SVG-TV News, senior nurse and president of the SVG Diabetes Hypertension Association, Janice Oliver Crease, reminded persons of the importance of early screening for hypertension, which is a silent killer.
Some of the effect of high blood pressure is that you can end up with a stroke, you can end up with heart failure, you can end up with kidney failure, and you can also end up with blindness. We are indicating to you today, know your numbers, don't take things for granted, because the moment you take things for granted is when something is going to go wrong. Hypertension, is known as the silent killer. It does not say when it's coming on. Sometimes it doesn't give you any warning, no symptom at all. You may just find yourself not feeling well, and before you know it, you are in a state that you can't even speak. You may not can even lift your hand or even move your feet. So know your numbers today, and that is going to help you to keep a check and to monitor your blood pressure. Today that you can detect it, and if you have it, you can control it.
Sister Oliver Crease also encouraged the Vincentian public to eat healthy, especially food in low sodium.
People consume a lot of sodium in their diet, which is one of the major causes. We are saying to you today, when you go to buy things, you must check your labels and see, the content of sodium. You don't just eat like, you don't care. You have to love yourself, and you have to take care of yourself as individual. We are also encouraging you to involve in physical activity. It is very, very important. I mean, you can't just be going about and not, taking exercise. We noticed that there are lots of people going about and they have hypertension, but they're not aware of it because they're not going to know their numbers. They're not going to have their blood pressure checked, whether at their private physician or at the health centers throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we are here today to meet them. They don't have to go to the health center today. They can come. Once you are in Kingston, you can come and we will do your blood pressure check and you will have an idea of where you are. If you need counseling, we will refer you for counseling. You need further follow-up, we are going to advise you to go for further follow-up in your health center.